Hey guys, and welcome to Sounds Like NYC, episode 71. Our next guest is a member of a New York City based soul slash funk slash R&B slash jazz slash everything else band. Their next single, Fight or Flight, comes out November 13th. You can find his band on Instagram at Snack Cat Band. Please welcome Aleksi Glick.
Yay.
Hey guys, how you
Mm.
doing?
Doing fine, doing fine.
Thanks for having me, first of all.
Yeah, of course, of course.
We got,
So
yeah. Oh, yeah.
you want to go? No. So no, I was just like wondering like where the name Snack Cat comes from in the first place.
Oh man, that's a really good question. I've actually been asked this many times, and it actually is a pretty good story. I mean, it's stupid, but it's a good story. I really started out, pretty like primarily as a jazz musician. And I still, do play a lot of jazz. But when I was kind of like very new, just to the city, started gigging right away. After coming back from college, and for some reason, I would just always say like, "Let's go get some snacks," and all the gigs I would have would also have snacks on them. So a bunch of people just started to call me the Snack Man for some reason. The trumpet player Benny Benak, actually, great jazz trumpet player. Shout out to Benny. Coined the name, and anytime he would be playing a gig with me, he'd be like, "I'm playing with the Snack Man," or posting on Facebook, and then everybody would say it, just like, "I'm playing with the Snack Man tonight." That's no longer really a nickname, but when me and Jeff started the band, Jeff and Nathan are my two other co-founders. Jeff, the bass player, said we should call it Snack something. So we thought of a bunch of different animal names. There's like pages like Snack Rat. There's a page for Snack Rat, like a Facebook page that has like one like, because we almost called it Snack Cat. But then we decided on Cat. It just fit better, and we also all do come from a jazz background, so that kind
Yeah,
of
that makes sense.
well,
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the story of Snack Cat.
Yeah.
So how did you get that idea of just to form something like a 7+ band?
So when I was like, again, just really started, playing out and performing, like guess I was probably like 22 or something like that at the time. Me and a few friends started this group called BAM, which no longer exists, but it was a really fun group. So a little bit more just like straight rock and roll than Snack Cat, but I had also gone to jazz school, and I had all these like friends that were like horn players at the time. So we would just have them like sit in, and eventually we were like, hey, it'd be kind of cool if we actually like, incorporate like a horn section with this group. And then that group, which was great, it maybe wasn't quite as polished of a sound as Snack Cat, but it was a really good group for the time. The horn section just really worked well, and it was kind of a unique thing with the music that we were writing. So when I formed Snack Cat, that was just the idea, that it was going to be Snack Cat was going to be more of just like a funk and soul band, with a lot more room for like soloing and improvisation, and with maybe a little bit more of a polished sound than kind of a more of like a rock band like BAM had. But yeah, we just thought the horn section it had already worked once, and then for kind of a similar music, but maybe again just something a little bit more on the R&B and funk side of things. It was just kind of a natural transition into that. And actually, Nathan, the drummer, was also in that previous band as well.
Okay, I see. Yeah. Because like I'm like curious specifically about how you were so it like started out with like you three guys, but then you ended up getting four more members. So what was the process of kind of like meeting up with like the other four members, considering that it seems like they did professional work with other like artists as well?
Yeah, totally. So first of all, when he started Snack Cat, that was always the idea that we were going to that we were going to that we were going to have other bunch of other members. So right away there were a bunch of other members like pretty quickly. It's just me, Jeff, and Nathan kind of formed it initially, but with any band, it kind of takes you a little while to get the right people in place. Our first singer played with us for one gig, and he's great.
As singers do.
He's a great singer, yes, as singers do. But it was funny because I had played a lot of jazz with him. This guy Richard Saunders, great singer, and but then that was right when that band that he was in. Do you guys know Third Story? They're kind
Never heard
of
of them. No.
pretty well known, but they got pretty famous, and they actually disbanded since, but right away. So that was the end of Richard. Again, he was great. Then we had a few other singers that, were good singers too, but maybe didn't fit quite with the band. As well as, there's a couple of other members that just, were fun to play with, but maybe not completely the right fit. Then fast forward, we're getting people together. Sharik, the keyboard player, I'd known him for a long time just from doing a bunch of, New York City, jazz and, kind of funk work, just live gigs. He also went to Manhattan School of Music with a few of the other guys. Seth too. He actually played in Seth Weaver's big band. He has a really great jazz orchestra, and he asked me to be in that. And then he's just a great trombone. He won the national trombone competition, just a monster. So he just that's how I met Seth. It was actually just at a jam session, but again through Manhattan School of Music. Chantal, I actually met her initially on a wedding gig. She had just moved from Australia, and she was brand new.
Australia.
And in New York City, obviously the playing level is very high, but sometimes you just come across someone that you haven't heard before that you're like, wow, for whatever reason, you really gel with that person. And, her vocals just, she's an incredible soul singer and just really kind of hears the music similarly to how I hear it. So right away, we pretty much hit it off. Then David, the sax player, we met on this really shitty subway gig that we used to play. It was an absolutely terrible gig.
Which station was that at?
It was at Herald Square.
Ooh,
and, just hot and sweaty and
it's got a
so we played 2 songs. We would play Mercy, Mercy, Mercy for an hour and a half. And it's 2 chords. It's B flat and E flat, and then we would play Chameleon for another hour and a half, which is also B flat and E flat.
Wait, but why only 2 songs? That must get
there were 7 sax players on the gig, and every single one of them would solo about 8 or 9 times. And as a rhythm section, you're just, although that gig probably did, again, it was a gig that I played when I was, pretty new and young, to this, the city and stuff. But I also definitely helped me get sort of a lot of my funk and pocket rhythm together,
Probably helped you learn every inversion of those 2 chords on the neck.
Oh yeah, man. I can play the shit out of B flat and E flat. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
But no, but actually he actually also he's had some pretty big gigs too. He's played, he was in the Zach Brown band for a little while, and also played with John Mayer and played
Yeah, David wanted to actually ask you about that because he's a big John Mayer fan.
Oh yeah, he also has a crazy John Mayer story which I cannot repeat on air, but I'll tell you.
Oh man, that sucks.
Yeah,
for our ears only.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no after, but I guess I have an interesting John Mayer story as well, actually, but it's not that impressive. But
well, you guys can switch stories.
Yeah, exactly.
Afterwards.
Yeah.
How is it trying to manage that many heads when it comes to either making music or just practicing?
Yeah, that's a good question. So that's why with a band this side, you really need to have the right members, because it doesn't work unless you have people that know how to answer an email. Honestly, so I had to get the right people that, actually had decent communication skills. There were some really great musicians that played with this band for a little while, but maybe their communication skills were not quite as great at the time. So unfortunately it didn't wind up really working out, and I think that's easier maybe if there are 3 people in a band, but when you have 7 people in a band, communication skills are key. And also just all of us are also super close friends. We're all full-time musicians, but Snack Cat's kind of the sort of safe haven where we don't have to work with really insane people, and we like everybody in the band, and everybody's at a certain level, so that also just makes it fun too. So yeah, that's kind of I guess how that goes. Yeah, I mean, and then there are also sometimes, um, when I feel like it's important to, I'll make sure to get all 7 people together. But there are, certain pieces of content that we'll get, or, certain like videos we'll shoot where it's also not always necessary to have everybody in the band, and that then it also kind of makes it more effective and more of this kind of like, wow, shock value kind of thing when everybody's together and just, you have that huge sound, and of course, for all our bigger shows, we get the band together. But sometimes on tour, and stuff, we also scale it down to like, 5-piece. And then for some photo shoots, me, Jeff, and Chantel really, lead the band. So we'll also do some things with just the 3 of us.
Okay, awesome. Like, so like speaking of kind of like that whole dynamic, like how does that, because like even before quarantine, like what was the specific process of songwriting? Like would it just be 1 or 2 people creating an idea and then like presenting that to like the rest of the band and just having them kind of like plug in things, or is it just like a very from the beginning everybody will be jamming together and then something happens? So like what's like the specific songwriting process usually before kind of like everything went to hell?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. So usually I write the majority of the music in Snack Cat. But I also collaborate with a lot of the band members for writing. So generally, I will come to the band with a song or an idea, and then in rehearsal, we'll kind of hash out the arrangement. Now we do everything over Logic and just like Zoom. We'll talk about things, and I'll say, as far as arranging goes. But I'll also have some writing sessions sometimes when, like, for instance, like our last single, Young Love, was about 75 to 80% finished, but there were just some things I wasn't completely happy with. So then I had a writing session with Shark, and it's really good to the keyboard player. It's really good to be able to have people you can really trust musically, and also co-writing can be for me, I really enjoy too. Usually someone will come with an initial idea, but that can be very effective. Another song that hasn't been released yet. We played it live quite a bit, but it's currently it's being recorded and gonna be on our first full-length album. But is the song "Help Me," and that's a song that was totally co-written by me and Chantal. We used to also play a little bit with this great singer Alita Moses. And one of the songs in the rep we also co-wrote, just from that was actually something that she actually brought me an idea back in the day, and I added all the sort of like harmony and helped just hash out the ideas. So often, again, generally me, but often someone will come with the idea or the initial sort of framework for the song, and then either I will just finish it, or I will collab with one of the band members, and then pre-pandemic in rehearsal we'll work on the arrangement. Post pandemic, really through like Logic and Zoom sessions, we'll kind of get the arrangement together. Like Fight or Flight was actually a song that wasn't written at all until the pandemic hit. That was something that just kind of exciting, like it didn't even exist in March at all.
Yeah. All right, guys, let's officially listen to Fight or Flight by Snack Cat. Boop boop. Awesome. So, hey guys, welcome back to this episode of Sounds Like NYC. We've all just heard the new single from Snack Cat called Fight or Flight. So like Alexi, if you want, do you kind of want to do you have like a story kind of like behind this song or like anything
Inspiration.
any like yeah, any like, insight into like the lyrics or like the composition or like whatever?
Yeah, absolutely. So this one was actually written completely during, the pandemic when I just, like all of a sudden all the gigs stopped. I just had a lot of time on my hands and I had a lot of time to process things and think, and this song is really kind of just about like I just was kind of thinking about all the choices that I've made throughout my life that have like gotten me for better or for worse, to where I am today. And just how those choices, yeah, have just affected, the path of my life. And it's also a song that's sort of also has a sort of underlying focus on sort of the values of like hard work. And just, especially, during this time, it's like there are a lot of, you know, as a musician, things are tough. Things are tough out there now. I mean, if they weren't tough before, it's like, there are a lot of difficult decisions that we have to make, especially if we want to like, push on through and stick to the path, which I'm doing. But it's, I think every musician now, or at least full-time musician, is really kind of thinking, about just sort of the direction of their careers, because of how much has changed recently.
Mhm.
What do you well like? What's the big like end goal for Snack Cat?
I mean, the big end goal for Snack Cat is to be playing like giant festivals and, just be touring the world,
Mhm.
I mean, we're not really trying to be like a top 40s band, but, as far as like what we're really trying, sort of the space that, let's say, like Lake Street Dive or Tedeschi Trucks Band or Wolfpack, you know, um, that sort of space that they operate in. That's kind of what, the end goal is for Snack Cat, to be just like, a huge touring band, but, also, stick to a certain quality,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, if like Wolfpack can like, sell out Madison Square Garden, I think you guys are definitely skilled enough to like do so as well,
Thanks a lot. No, appreciate it. And yeah, I mean, that's kind of the end goal, hopefully, a few years down the road, we'll be there. I mean, of
Definitely.
course it's, it's always a long shot, but I think, we have as good a chance as any. So,
Oh,
Sure.
definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
Like speaking of which, like what steps do you think that you guys are taking now like as a band to like really get yourself out there and what's the hardest part you think about kind of like marketing and like spreading the word about the band?
totally. I mean, it's a definitely a learning process. And, with every release, there are going to be things that are going to go well and there are mistakes that you're going to make. And I feel like the key is just to really learn from the mistakes, Um, I mean, the biggest struggle for any band, is honestly like is financial. Unfortunately, the way the industry works now is, you know, a lot of artists that generally at least have huge social media followings just have a fuck ton of money. Whether they
Right.
have some family money or if they're lucky enough, if they have a label or management that has a bunch of money. But I mean, we've been lucky enough to you know uh work with Rope-A-Dope, as a label, but they have an amazing reputation as far as quality goes, but they don't have like, let's say, the muscle that, let's say, like Sony would, as far as just to be spending like like hundreds of thousands of dollars on artists and stuff like that. But they still will definitely like help us with the process. You know but yeah, so the financial is the biggest, and then another thing is just like really finding the right audience for you. It's
Mm.
like, and this is something that's taken me a really long time to realize, is that no matter what, even if you make the best, what you think is the best fucking song that anyone has ever made, there are going to be a bunch of people that are not going to like it.
Right.
Yeah, true.
So
This is anything.
Yeah.
every, so you really got to, find the people that you trust, get their opinions, definitely listen to other people, but you got to also accept, the fact that not everybody's going to like everything you do, and you really want to find the audience that appreciates you. And that's something we're still in the process of doing, but we've definitely, gone to a point where at least, we do have some of that, and it's a process, that, is, just takes a while,
Yeah.
I mean, are you guys doing anything specific on like social media to try to boost your sort of marketing?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely, do some ads. Again, we don't have a huge budget for it, but we do ads. We're active on, all the social media platforms except for Twitter's pretty pathetic. But we just,
I mean, Twitter is like its own. Twitter's a
Yeah.
mess.
Just real time news.
Yeah.
Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. We have followings on all those. Even just started TikTok.
Oh man, yeah.
Keep telling you, bro.
Yeah,
Keep telling
David's
you.
telling me to get on TikTok.
Just started it.
I don't mean
kind
to
of-
brag. I don't mean to brag.
I mean,
right?
no, but seriously, maybe.
but-
Yeah.
I just we posted a video.
He did.
Well, I
wasn't part
posted a
of it.
video, and it got like something like 1.8 million views or something, and it got us like now we have more followers on TikTok versus Instagram, and it was only like 2 weeks worth of videos.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's great. I mean, that's kind of where I'm like. We just started the TikTok like about a month ago, and I posted maybe like 8 or 9 videos so far, and it seems fun. I also started my own TikTok as well.
Yeah. No, I was gonna because I have a friend who's kind of like a TikTok genius who was like giving me this certain idea for like how like as a musician how to like quickly
Dude, please
get a
connect.
following.
Seriously, I'm.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk after
Well,
then.
like,
We'll talk
we
after
got
then.
some cool ideas too that we want to like start doing.
Yeah.
And I think you'll be our perfect little like
experiment
test
Guinea pig. I love it.
or
Yeah,
test cat.
yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
I'm into it. So yeah, I mean that's so basically, I mean all those things, we also our live show is probably the strongest thing about Snack Cat, and we would play live all the time, and that was something that until March was really helping growing our following. We obviously have a pretty extensive mailing list as well, which I think is very helpful
For sure.
and yeah, we're really trying to kind of up our sort of like social media game, as far as like, starting to do a little bit more ads. But again, it's just tricky with kind of a limited budget. But we're also getting, we're getting our team in place. We have the right label now. We have the right producer now. We still need management, and we do have some PR now finally too. And we're figuring out, what to do as far as management and also like a music lawyer and stuff like that. So we're also just trying to get all the right pieces, in play as well. That's part of it.
Yeah.
Cool. I mean, how long have you been in New York City for?
Yeah, let's talk about your life in New York City. Like, yeah.
Yeah, so that's good. So I've been in New York, I guess about 8 or 9 years.
Okay.
And I'm also originally from New York. But
Oh, cool. Which part?
So I'm from like Upper West Side. I literally live like 5 blocks from my dad and 3 miles from where my mom used to live before she moved to Philly. So
How
yeah.
dare she?
Sorry, say that again?
No, like how dare your
Worst
mom move from
mistake
New
you
York
could have
City?
ever made.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm sort of a lifelong New Yorker, but, I went to school in Baltimore at the Peabody Conservatory, and I stuck around there a tiny bit. But yeah, I mean, once I graduated pretty soon after I started just, performing in New York and, just making a go of that. And, yeah, I mean, at least like I knew I wanted to do this from a pretty young age. I was lucky in that way. My dad's a musician. So until now, I've been pretty lucky to be able to like support myself as a musician. Now, feel like a professional Zoom teacher, but like,
I mean, whatever you need.
yeah,
You need to make money. Yeah.
Ain't nothing funny.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, I mean, I'm still doing a lot of studio work and stuff, and it's actually been cool because there's been a time that I've been able to really get like my home recording chops together. Definitely like gone really far down like the Logic and plug-in rabbit hole and all that. So I always had the ability to like give people guitar tracks, for my house and stuff like that. But I didn't really focus much on the production side of things, and I've been kind of getting more into that
Yeah.
during this time as well. So, there are always silver linings,
Yeah. Definitely. So like, because I'm like curious, because like we're from like the city too, obviously, and like I'm just like always curious about kind of how like things were like 5, 6, 8 years ago. So like when you started kind of like performing or like getting gigs, right after college, like in New York City, like I don't know, how was the scene for I guess no jazz, soul, R&B, funk, that whole family of like
Yeah.
genres compared to how it was, I guess, in like 2019 before the end of the world.
Yeah. I mean, I actually feel like in many ways like the scene sort of like you have that big like sort of financial crash and then a lot of clubs closed and things like that. But I actually found, and clubs were still closing, but I actually found that the scene was actually pretty in a pretty good place, uh of course, given where it's been for the last 10 years, right before things shut down. I felt like I started to see some like kind of new clubs opening,
Mhm.
uh, you know, just unbelievable. I mean, New York always has unbelievable musicians. It's has by far the highest playing level in the world of any place. I mean, not no place is even close. I mean, LA is obviously the place for production, but even there, the players aren't, on average, aren't near the level that they are in New York or even in a city like New Orleans or it's just New York is New York. As far as that goes. So, I mean, New York, the things that isn't so great about a lot of the scene in New York is like club gigs don't pay very well. I mean, frankly,
Mhm.
they pay better in like New Orleans, and you have people that uh, I mean, they're great musicians in New Orleans, but they're maybe not. It's often like if you were like to get someone from the minor leagues, against someone from the New York's
Mhm.
really the major leagues. Not to say there aren't major leaguers in New Orleans because there are amazing
Mhm.
players,
But they
but
just move to New York when they're finally.
yeah, like Wynton Marsalis and Jonathan Batiste are here now,
Yeah.
but no, I mean there are, but a lot of the higher end gigs in New York are, we're going very strong. Like a lot of kind of corporate and Broadway gigs, that was all, doing pretty well. You know, the jazz scene was was yeah, it's always been very strong. It's just the only worries are financial, but it's been like that for quite some time. I from what I know, and again, I'm not as much of an expert because frankly, before the financial crash, I was, like a teenager, so I wasn't I played some gigs, but I wasn't really like a full-time musician yet. I was like in high school or uh but back then apparently like the difficult time was pre-financial crash. The average musician that was making $120,000
Oh my
after
god.
the financial crash was making $30,000.
God
Oh my
damn.
gosh.
But since then, I feel like the scene has been getting a little bit, things
Hopefully,
are,
yeah.
Well, I mean,
but
somebody
yeah,
threw a wrench into the machine.
Yeah.
I mean that's kind of dark, I mean,
That's
obviously,
crazy. Jeez.
you
Yeah.
know, but yeah, but as far as musicianship goes, and also just opportunities, I feel like the city was actually in as good of a place as it had been in the last 10 years
Mhm.
Hmm.
pre-COVID. Now, I think this is going to be really shitty for all of us for the next year or two. But after that, I feel like it actually things are going to come back stronger because if you just like historically speaking, like what happened after you know the flu pandemic and World War I, the Roaring Twenties, what happened in Berlin after Nazi Germany, that whole cultural, like renaissance, there and like so it also will make things more affordable for artists to live. I think people
For
will
sure.
want and need culture, but it's just going to take a little while.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, because I
That's
definitely think.
no way of absolutely knowing, of course. But sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no. No, I was just gonna say, yeah, because people definitely seem to be starved for live music and the sort. So, like, I definitely think that there might be a boom in sort of like hopefully some of the venues that have like unfortunately have to close might be able to like come back to life again. But like, yeah, definitely. now it's like definitely like the low point, you know. But like we can't get any worse from here. It seems.
Don't say
hopefully.
that.
No, in terms of like the music industry, I mean, who knows with like culture?
Yeah, this is all. By the way, everything we're saying now, all these hopeful messages go out the window if Trump, gets
Yeah.
before you, obviously. But I don't think that's going to happen. So but yeah.
Oh man, I mean, this
How do
year
you-
In
can't
that
get
case,
worse.
we're all going to create like a paradise in northern like Canada. It's going to be
Northern Canada.
they're gonna,
Frozen tundra, but it's it's paradise.
we're going to make like
Wasn't trying
igloo
to-
music
was
clubs. It'll be awesome.
Yeah.
How do you feel like New York has shaped you as a person?
I feel like, I mean, it's funny you say that because like my parents are from New York, their parents were from my dad grew up in Washington Heights, my mom grew up in Queens, their parents grew up in Brooklyn.
You already
for
New
me,
Yorker through and through.
yeah. So in that, I feel like it's just, New Yorkers. I feel like we just are. There's a certain like candidness to us. I think we're comfortable. Just kind of like, being honest most of the time.
Yeah, for sure.
I also like, and this is maybe not the best thing in certain ways, but I also feel like I always am constantly need to be on the move. I don't always have patience just to sit back and let things happen, which can be really good from a career standpoint, but as far as like one's sanity, maybe not always the best. If I, just have an hour, or two where I'm just like, just doing nothing, I don't know, I'll start to get like incredibly antsy. Or if I'm like
Yep.
in the country for I love fucking nature and the country, but if I'm there for a couple days at a certain point, I'm just like, okay, what am I gonna do? And I'll just start thinking about, like the things I want to get done. Don't get me wrong, I love Animal Planet. I love and like, but yeah, I mean, I feel like maybe a little bit of an impatient person in certain ways. Not when it comes to people. I feel like it actually gives you more patience when it comes to dealing with like crazy people. But as far as just needing to be always on the run, maybe I have a little bit less patience than the average person as far as just being completely still. Also, I mean, you guys know it is as New Yorkers. You're also exposed to things at a very young age. Like my dad like didn't want me to watch Disney movies because he said Walt Disney was a fascist. Like
That's the first I've heard of that.
Really?
That's the first time I've heard. Oh,
yeah,
that's interesting.
Yeah. So, but instead I was just like, like I remember one time my dad's a musician too. I like hailed a cab accidentally when I was like 5 years old.
Oh, that's cute.
I like, and my dad just opens the door and goes, "Sorry, that was my fucking idiot son." Knowing like what the
He's
F-bomb,
a great guy. Yeah.
or just like maybe being exposed to just everything at a younger age.
Right.
Can be good and can be bad in certain ways. I don't know.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, what do you want to leave with?
I guess just to say that we have singles coming out, Fight or Flight, November 13th. We also do have kind of a special, track coming out. It's a single. It's maybe not something we're pushing as much as Fight or Flight, but just a song called Breaking Point right before the election on October 30th, because that's just like, perfect timing. So yeah, just make sure to check those out. Follow us on socials at Snack Cat Band. Snack Cat Band, that's both on Instagram, Facebook. Our website is snackcatband.com. I guess we're on TikTok too now, Snack Cat Band. Although you'll be like our like 30th or 40th follower because we're like,
hey, that's not bad.
But it's not, it's like, but yeah, and we're going to be releasing just a lot of music and a lot of new content over the coming months. We've also did a series during the summer where we released a new video called Song of the Week, every week for a while. So we're making sure to just, push on through this time, so we kind of come out on the other side, stronger. So,
For sure.
Awesome.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate it.
yeah, thanks for having me. It's been a blast.